All right, I'm going to call the Tuesday, February 27th, 2024 regular council meeting to order, and I'll begin with a land acknowledgement that the City of Fort Saskatchewan is located on Treaty 6 territory and Métis Nation of Alberta District 11, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Nihilwak, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, and Métis, and we acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for generations. It is because of our treaty relationship that we can live, work, and play on Treaty 6 territory. And just as a housekeeping item, because we do have people in our audience today, if there were an emergency, there is an emergency exit through chamber doors and then out the front doors. Or if there was a problem out that way, then everybody's going to exit behind us. So just check one of our staff if something were to happen, but we feel like we're pretty safe here. All right, so welcome, and we will begin with the consent agenda. So we have two items on the consent agenda. One is approval of the February 13th, 2024 regular council meeting minutes and public member board and committee appointments. And it's very nice to see on that one that we have Cheryl Exley, who used to be in our legislative services, also joining up on one of our boards, on the assessment review board. So great to see our employees taking part in our city activities. So with that, there are three motions. Consent agenda. So with that, if somebody would like to make a motion to move the consent agenda, go ahead, Councillor Macon.
I'll make the motion that we approve the following items under consent. Number 3, approval of minutes of the February 13th, 2024 regular council meeting, and 5.3, public member board and committee appointments.
All right, thank you very much. And I always offer, if anybody wishes to have any of these items severed so that they can be done separately, there is an opportunity to do that. Not seeing anybody wishing to do that. With that, I will close the motion for consent agenda. Please cast your vote. And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, the next item that we have is delegations. So if there's anybody in our audience who wishes to speak to any of the items that are left on the agenda, which would be the public utility lot sale or the strategic plan update, this would be your time. I would invite you to come forward, and nobody has pre-registered. So I'm not seeing anybody racing to the presentation. So with that, we will move directly on to new business, Public Utility Lot 21, Ehrenbruch Duncan.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, and thank you for having me here today. I'm Ehrenbruch Duncan, Director of Economic Development. This report is to provide Council with information regarding the proposed sale of Lot 21 PUL Plan 9623501 and Lot 21 PUL Plan 9620373. In the 1990s, two public utility lots, or PULs, were acquired by the city to create a walkway. This walkway is no longer required by the city and can be divested under the surplus city assets, sale, transfer, lease, loan, or disposal policy. These two public utility lots are located to the southeast of Century Villas Close and Century Villas Court and northwest of the commercial properties along 99th Avenue. From December 4th, 2023 to January 15th, 2024, administration initiated the process to divest the PUL through a public auction. One offer was received for each lot. On February 20th, 2024, administration presented information regarding the sale of these PULs to Council in a closed session of the Committee of the Whole meeting. Administration recommends accepting both offers presented to Council in closed session at the Committee of the Whole meeting on February 20th, 2024, and proceeding with divesting both public utility lots. The terms and conditions of the sales are in discussion with administration and the purchasers and will be outlined in the final land sale agreements. The motion before Council is that Council direct administration to proceed with the sale of city-owned land legally described as Lot 21 PUL Plan 962-3501 and Lot 21 PUL Plan 962-0373 as per the land sale of public utility lots information report presented in the closed session during the February 20th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a reminder, some information was provided as indicated in camera. Some of that will be retained for in camera. So if there's any questions regarding this report, I would ask for those now. And if not, then I would take a motion. Councillor Harris.
I would move that Council direct administration proceed with the sale of city-owned land legally described as Lot 21 PUL Plan 962-3501 and Lot 21 PUL Plan 962-0373 as per the land sale of public utility lots information report presented in closed session during the February 20th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting.
All right, thank you very much. I will accept that motion. Do you wish to speak to it?
It's obviously divesting the city of property we do not require and ultimately don't have to maintain.
Okay, thank you. The motion is open for discussion and debate. Okay, not seeing anything on close?
Nothing.
You're good. So with that, the motion is now closed. Please cast your vote.
Madam Mayor, we are just waiting for Councillor Abatoye.
I voted in favor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that is carried. Thank you very much, and thank you. All right, the next item that we have is the 2023 to 2026 Strategic Plan Update. Andrew Kaiser presenting.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of Council. My name is Andrew Kaiser, and I'm the Director of the City's Legislative Services Department. I'm here this afternoon to present the proposed updates to the City's 2023 to 2026 Strategic Plan. The core purpose of the Strategic Plan is to establish direction for our city. This is achieved by defining a community vision, organizational core values, and setting specific actionable goals. This current iteration of the strategic plan was shaped by the 2017 My Fort, My City, My Say public engagement campaign, as well as its 2022 update. This ensures that the plan reflects our community's values and perspectives on growth and development. The existing plan was approved by this Council on June 28, 2022, and the most recent Council strategic planning session was conducted on January 15th of this year. These planning sessions are held to facilitate the annual review of the strategic plan and to keep the document responsive to current conditions. Following the January 15th strategic planning session, several updates have been proposed, which appear as blue text in Appendix B to the report. Several adjustments to the plan have been proposed based on, of course, our discussions during the strategic planning session, including generalizing language regarding the downtown area, removing references to certain municipal obligations, and updating the environmental stewardship goal. Additionally, new initiatives have been added, such as prioritizing industrial development expansions, updating the financial model with AIHA, or Alberta's Industrial Heartland Association, creating a new assessment class for derelict properties, and developing a drought preparation plan, among other things. So in summary, the strategic plan serves as a foundation for informed decision-making, priority setting, resource allocation, and addressing strategic issues facing our municipality. It also is the basis for department business plans, other municipal planning documents, as well as budgets. That concludes my brief presentation, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. I will open it up for any questions. Councillor Harris?
We've added in the reference to city's drought preparation plan. Do we see that as strategic or tactical? And I don't want to split the hairs, but really when you look at it, up to this point in time, it hasn't been something that was really all that necessary. And respecting the fact that we're looking at a dry year now and potentially into the future. But is that a strategic initiative? And I only ask that question now because, you know, if it is, well, so be it. But or is it a tactical response so that we can prepare in the short run?
Oh, I thought you were queuing up there. I'm not very familiar with that planning document, so I might defer to a member of the leadership team to speak to that one.
To your worship, I actually believe Sadie Miller is the best person to field that question.
And that is Sadie sitting right in front of us. Welcome, Sadie.
Hello, Sadie Miller, Director of Utilities and Sustainability. Through your worship to Councillor Harris, I do believe for this year it will be a tactical document, but it's going to set us up strategically for future scenarios where we have to conserve water, where we have to kind of look ahead of a season by season basis. So Council will see a drought preparation plan that is, I guess, an interim document for 2024 that will be very tactical. But that does set a great foundation for us to expand on that document for future years.
What, if anything, do you see coming out of that just by virtue of what we're going to do to, you know, tone down or tune down water use at certain times, depending, like obviously the EPCOR situation where they had problems with pumps, and I think all customers had to cut back or they were asked to voluntarily cut back. Do we see anything else coming out of it other than just? Is there something that's tangential to that?
Through your worship, the province has stated that we are in a stage 4 of 5 drought in the province as a whole right now. And the province has established a drought response team in anticipation that we will experience some severe water supply issues in 2024 going into 2025. The City of Fort Saskatchewan does rely a lot on EPCOR and the Water Commission to tell us what we can and can't do with our potable water supply. But we did realize at the end of January when we had that water ban that there's a lot of programs and operations within our organization that aren't addressed by EPCOR and the Commission's direction. So the interim report will just be what is the city willing to do to reduce our consumption of potable water to help preserve that supply of drinking water. And then moving forward, how can we establish a strategic conservation plan that prevents us from being in this tough situation in the future?
Okay, that answers my question, Madam Chair.
Okay, you're good. Councillor Kelly, questions?
Thank you. Sadie, given the news in the last few days regarding the drought in southern Alberta, and in particular, the diminished flow in the Crow's Nest River and the Oldman River Basin, which, according to the news, has severely impacted communities like Pincher Creek and could seriously impact the city of Lethbridge, for instance. Has administration given any thought to approaching an organization, a regional organization, and perhaps the EMRB to request a review of the status of our watershed basin and the long-term reliability of the North Saskatchewan River, and of course the water for 1.4 million people, not counting downstream from the Edmonton area.
Through your worship to Councillor Harris, we have,
Or Kelly.
I apologize. Sorry,
Look so
Councillor
much
Kelly.
alike.
My apologies. We have not actively reached out to any organizations other than the Commission and EPCOR at this point. We are getting some information from the province. Our watershed is listed as critical in terms of water supply shortages already. So we do anticipate that if there is an emergency declared, which is the province's next step in this conversation, that we will have to group together as a region and try to find priorities for our water supply. We aren't there yet, but that is the conversation taking place as part of this drought preparation plan.
Thank you. And I'm not suggesting what you're doing currently is not appropriate. I'm looking to be a little more proactive. I'd like to get my own assurances or the city's assurances sooner rather than later. So I just asked the administration give it some thought, maybe strategize as to how our community could be best served going forward. And I'm not convinced at all that leaving it up to EPCOR or our Water Commission is a correct approach to take, Sadie. And I mean no disrespect at all, but I think it's a much broader net and a much more impactful discussion in what either of those two organizations will be able to provide. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm not seeing any additional questions. Councillor Nguyen?
So I'll move that Council adopt the updated 2023 to 2026 strategic plan as attached as Appendix A to the administrative report dated February 27, 2024.
Okay, thank you. I'll accept that motion. Would you like to speak to the motion?
I don't have too much to say. I think this council has spent quite a bit of time looking at the document and discuss it in strategic plan meetings and sessions. So obviously it's an iterative document that we're working on. Administration has a focused task to complete and look forward to the reevaluation of this soon.
Okay, thank you. I'll open it up for discussion and debate. And I'm just going to make a comment that yes, I'll support this motion. I think it's very valuable that we do have an opportunity to tweak the strategic plan when we see something is changing or evolving within our community. And I know with the growth that we anticipate, I think that's something we've got to be very proactive for. You know, when we were down at the Mid-Size City Mayors meeting, Doug Griffith spoke about strategic plans, and he said they're supposed to last longer than your council terms, that they should have some legs to them, some longevity. But he also talked about the fact that, you know, you do need to tweak them periodically when you see something is changing or evolving. So I like these little tweaks, and I think they're going to be good, and I look for some action on them. All right. Councillor Nguyen, anything on close? All right. Thank you. So I'm going to close the motion. Please cast your vote.
Madam Mayor, we are currently waiting on Councillor Abatoye's response.
Can you
It didn't come up for me yet.
Can you just do it verbally?
Sure. I vote in favor.
Okay, thank you. And that is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the two of you. Are there any notice of motions? Not seeing any. All right. Points of interest regarding any of your boards, committees, anything that you've heard about? Not seeing anything. Councillor inquiries to administration. And I do have one myself, and this is to Mr. Fleming. So we're at the beginning of the year, and lots of people are booking rooms for events and different things. I've talked to at least 2 nonprofits that have indicated that the fees for the Normandy Room and the Dow Centennial Center have escalated to a point that they can no longer utilize those, and now they're going to have to look elsewhere. Have you heard that concern or seen that through any of the bookings?
Yeah, through your worship. So once we've switched over to this newer system where you can bring in an outside caterer, we modeled the fee structure that we're using at the Normandy Room, where you can bring in an outside caterer if you want to use the city's utensils and dishes and equipment. Then you have to pay an extra $400 fee. And we have gotten some feedback from user groups that the $400 fee, which gets added on to their contract once the year rolls over, has been, it caught a couple of groups off guard. So we will take another look at it. I'll talk with the recreation team about that. They're doing a fees and charges review this year. And I might look at grandfathering it for a couple groups, just because these are existing contracts that were in place already. And so it is typical for us when the year was over, we update their contracts to the newer fees, but that change has caught a couple groups off guard. So we'll take a look at that one.
Okay, so I guess the second question, as you're looking at fees and charges, and as we're going into starting to prepare for 2025, are we going to be looking to see the impact on bookings? Like if all of a sudden bookings drop off at these facilities?
Yeah, through your worship, we are expecting to see a trend where we're going to get more bookings in the space at the DCC in particular. But I can, and I have talked to Recreation about tracking the trends, just so we can verify that one way or the other.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. It's just I've been approached by at least 2, probably the same ones. They've probably contacted you, so I figured I would ask in a public forum whether or not. Okay, thank you.
For sure.
Are there any other questions of council to administration? Okay, not seeing any. I know it's a short open session, but we do have quite a bit to cover in camera, so I would take a motion to go in camera. Councillor Macon.
I'll make the motion that we move in camera for reasons covered under FOIP.
Thank you very much. I'll close the motion. Please cast your vote.
Madam Mayor, we are currently waiting for the response from yourself and Councillor Abatoye.
There it goes.
I voted in favor.
And that is carried. My apologies, it was a little delayed. All right, we will adjourn to in camera, and Aaron, you'll bring Edmonton Global in. Thank you.